Hey, hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Legacy Lounge. Wait, it was three of us up here before before I
Right.
started.
I'm like, wait, what happened? Then I'm laughing because I'm like, this is live, just in case anybody's
Right.
really questioning. Like, I'm like, wait, you heard my background a second ago?
I
Let's
didn't
hope
hear the
not.
background. I was looking, I
Okay,
said, wait a minute.
great.
We just lost a panelist. I'm sure she'll be back on, but
Yeah.
we definitely need her for the night. But I am one of your panelists, Sonia B. I am an insurance broker and wealth strategist, all things business. And I have my lovely panelists with me. Tell them who you are, Shamika.
I am Shamika Valencia. I consider myself the legacy pusher. I'm going to push you to fulfill that living and long lasting legacy. I am a career leadership and small business mentor and consultant. So I have missed you guys. I'm glad to be back.
And
Oh,
there she is.
oh,
Look,
he's back.
right in time. Look, we was up here laughing because, like, once the intro went out, I said, wait a minute, we lost somebody.
Look, we lost a whole person. What
There she
happened?
is.
Okay,
So, like,
look,
this is
this
live for real.
look o- StreamYard has this new Mars thing they got going on. And I
Yeah.
keep forgetting that I had to update all my stuff.
Yes.
Technology, it is what it is.
Well, that's what's
Mm-hmm.
up. So now that everybody's here, tonight we're going to be discussing when the check stops.
Mm.
As business owners and different types of job industries, depending on how you get paid, you may not be on salary. You may not, always get those guaranteed hours. Whatever is the cause when the checks stop, these are the things that expose your financial gaps. So we're going to
Mm-hmm.
touch on a few things. One of our viewers did request that we have some information on some clergy taxes, which is going to be Miss Dee Dee Boutte's thing
Mm-hmm.
right there because she is our tax expert. But we're going to touch on a few things, go over some clergy taxes, and then we can't leave you without some solutions to how you can avoid being affected so negatively when these
Right.
things happen. Okay,
Right. Right.
so let's
Absolutely.
So
set it off like Boosie.
okay, look, okay, okay. So, one of the things that comes up often when we do these live streams, right, is that people will ask questions and, I'm one of those people that gets real quiet only because a lot of situations really depends on your specific setup, right? And so when we're looking at church and clergy taxes, a lot of things we have to find out. You got to find out, is the ministerial staff or the pastoral staff, are they considered self-employed? Did they take a vow of poverty? Is the church set up under a corporation? Is it set up as a non-profit, tax exempt? Did they apply for that status? Is there a parsonage, or is there some kind of expense that was given, um, or salary that was given to the ministerial staff to pay for the household? It really depends on what the agreement is and what the corporation has decided, and that's the hardest part about really doing taxes for churches, is because they're a business first, right? And that's hard for people to hear. But there has to be some kind of structure that was given to them in order for them to get the tax exemption from the state and the federal, right? They have to be structured in a certain way. They have to operate in a certain way. And so that's what we found out during COVID, is that just like with business owners, there were a lot of churches who were churches by faith, but maybe weren't operating as a church by business
Mhm.
structure and formation and tax election. And so that's why it's important, again, before you go and build these houses of worship, before you go build these businesses that you want to expand and grow and scale, before you become sole proprietorship, no matter what it is that you do, especially when you're seeking some kind of either exemption or abatement from the IRS or the state for tax purposes, you need to find out what the business structure is first. Then you need to find out what you can do at the state level. Then find out what applies at the federal level. So everything that we do when it comes to businesses and operating and forming these churches, we have to do at the state level first, at the county level, municipality or parish level, and then you go to federal, often last. And so, to the person who asked that question last time, you want to book a consultation with a tax professional that is, or a practitioner that is savvy and understanding business structure, foundation, as well as your election for that place of worship. If you're creating one, then definitely you want to sit down and say, okay, do you have a board member? Is it going to be structured like just a house of worship, or are you also looking for other, um, foundation? Are you trying to set up as a private foundation? What is it that you want this church to operate as? And once you've determined that, then you can go and determine what, and then you can find out what the rules and how they apply to the staff and employees and self-employment, and how you pay people, and how donations are received and counted, and what limit can you do, how often you have to file, are you filing a tax return, or are you just filing informational returns, are you a pass-through entity, or are you a corporation? And again, it just goes back to the structure. So everything we've been talking about months and months and months this year, again, goes back to the foundation. What are you structured as? What have you applied for? What have you received approval for? And then what have you operated as for that entity? And so all goes back to the basics. So but I just thought I would try to make it as brief and as easy to understand as possible. I hope so.
It sounds very easy to understand to me. And if
Yep.
you have
Yeah.
further questions, then like I say, you can text her at eight four
Look,
four 2496. Okay.
because
Turn that into a jingle.
okay, look. People be trying to catch me in the DMs, and don't get me wrong, I understand, and you will catch me sometimes, but this is preseason for tax professionals right now. So if you see me somewhere hiding and real quiet, you don't see me posting a lot, or you see me like, what is she doing? She done got so quiet. We ain't quiet. We work it. Okay,
Right,
well, I
right.
mean, we're at 12-hour days right now. We're at 14-hour days right now. I get up at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning now, and I'm working straight through to 6, 7 o'clock, and then we got training at night for 3 or 4 hours. I'm like, so yes, I am going from one thing to another, to another, to another, to another, to the bed. Okay, you feel me? So yeah, this is heavy duty time. It's the end of the year. So we have businesses with their final quarter stuff, wrapping up the year, cleaning up books for 2026. People who didn't have a bookkeeper the whole year, or trying to figure it out in the last quarter. People making estimated taxes because they haven't made any this year. This is all the stuff we're doing right now. The IRS is scheduled to shut down e-filing November 30th, which means that from the 30th until they open in July, tax preparers won't be able to electronically file reports. We will still be able to paper file, and anything that is prior to 2022 that needs to be filed will have to be mailed in paper. So we still end up working. We just, it slows down usually a little bit, or the processes become more manual. It's the holiday time, so we have a tendency to take a little time off. But this is a very, very busy time of year right now, believe it or not. Where everybody else is taking time off, it's like, what do we say, balls to the walls? Yeah, it's kind of like that right now.
So
Listen,
if
the
you
same way a tax professional has to prepare for the busy and the non-busy season, clergy and especially in the non-traditional income type of businesses need to be doing the
Yes.
same thing. If you're a content creator, you don't control the algorithm. You need to make sure you got a good place to redirect those leads, if you will, those
Mm-hmm.
potential consumers, so that you can have a little bit more control. And the best way to get control of that is make sure you're collecting what I call a PN, a person's phone number, email, and a name, because you want to be cordial, be human. Get a name so that you can start contacting them via phone and via email, because these algorithms are they're changing too frequently for you to try to keep up with it,
yeah.
and nothing beats hand-to-hand contact with somebody. But y'all better jump in and get you a consultation, because
Look,
this is
it's a
not the time to start preparing when the shutdown occurs.
right,
It's just like
right.
COVID. Nobody knew, what was happening. You gotta, how the old folks used to say, you gotta stay ready so you don't
So
gotta
you
get
have to get ready.
Right. But some of the reasons that, some people find themselves in these situations, as far as it being such a financial stress during these changes, is because, again, it boils down to preparation. It boils down to who do you have on your team. Do you have a business coach? Do you have the tax professional? Do you even know what your finances look like? Because I think we make the mistake of literally handing it over, and then we're not involved. And I think it's important for us to know where we're standing. Um, Even if I hand off my finances to somebody to manage them, I should be able to answer my own questions about where I am financially to a certain
Yeah,
extent. But it's the person's job that I'm paying to help manage those funds. But I should know where I stand. And a lot of us don't know where we stand. And that's a problem.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's far too often, and it's something we've been talking about. I'm gonna say it and keep saying it till we beat a hole in people's heads. Is that we once we made the decision to do whatever it is that we were gonna do, to me, there's a reason why we're employees, because there's an employer who's going to take care of the operation of the business. There, you know how when you go to work, you want to get paid. Well, there's somebody who took the time to understand how to pay you, what it took to make sure you got paid on time. The withholding went to the IRS. The building that you were in, the lights were paid, the rent that they paid to operate in that building, all that stuff is something that somebody had to prepare for. So just like you want to work for somebody that is on top of things, you have to be, as a business owner, on top of things, right? You
Mhm.
can't just wait until the bottom falls out before you want to get it together. You have to go in with the same intention to operate that business. There should have been a plan. Okay, so what do I do if I can't make payroll? What do I do if there's not enough money in my bank account and I got to pay this rent next month? What do I do if the government shuts down and this was my client base and I don't have any clients? You always have to look at what are the cons or the threats to your business. That should be part of your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. You should be doing a SWOT analysis at least once a year. And this is what we're doing in the last quarter of the year right now, is that we're looking at, for 2026, what are things that I have to look for? What is my strengths? What are my weaknesses as a business? What are my opportunities, things that I can improve upon? And what are things that are going to threaten my business? And right now, threat for people is our government instability. The fact that if you're somebody who clients maybe relied on a source of federal assistance like SNAP, and maybe you were a store, okay, that took EBT. And
Mhm.
most of your clients were EBT people that came in and they were able to buy stuff because maybe you were in a food desert, or you were the closest store, e-commerce or commerce place to where they were, and you brought in the fruits and the vegetables and the meats and the whatever so that people with EBT could buy it from you. And those people no longer have benefits. That affects you as a business owner, because
right.
now the business that you relied upon from that subsidy and those stamps that those people normally got, they're not getting them. So now your income or your revenue as a business owner has dipped, because your client base doesn't have money to shop with you. So they don't have money. They're without. Now you're without money because you're without that client base. Now, guess what happens to that business owner? They may be renting that location. So what happens to their, if they're not able to meet their rent? Now the person who rented the property to them is now getting stiffed for rent from the store owner, who's getting stiffed from people who normally would shop in their store, who now are not getting the food stamps that they relied upon. So again, you may key that somebody's not getting food stamps, but you didn't realize that you rented a store to a person that relied on those stamps for revenue from their clients. Now it affects you too, and
Right.
that's the part that we don't think about in this economy. We're just so busy looking at, well, I don't get stamps, that doesn't bother me. Well, no, boo boo. Guess what? You rented a house to somebody who relied upon food stamps, who now doesn't have that food stamp to cover their food. Now they're going to have to take it from their income. Now they can't make the rent payment. So
Right.
now that rent payment is now, instead of it's going to be $700, it might be $300. So
Mhm.
now you want to go put them out because of their situation. Oh, but food stamps don't affect you. You don't get food stamps. It don't bother you. So I'm not saying that you have to do anything special because somebody has food stamps. I'm just saying that it affects you too. So stop thinking on just, the superficial level and think more in depth, and you'll understand why everything that happens in this economy affects other people in this economy. But let me stop running my mouth.
Absolutely. Nah, you said all the right things. People need to think about that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because they don't.
It's a ripple effect. And then I didn't know to what extent, to how how many people are being affected by this. Like the flights, people ain't getting paid, for
Yeah,
certain things. We don't think about the reality of how many government jobs are out here. How
yeah,
many people are responsible for things that we depend on? So, like you said, no, we don't. We may not get SNAP benefits, or our family may not get it, so it don't affect us directly, but it's going to affect a lot. The housing market, people that
hmm
owe a little bit of money on their houses, losing their jobs, and what? Oh my God, my
being
mental
part of the government
story.
shutdown. Being part of the shutdown, they got to make a
Yeah,
mortgage payment, and they don't have
this
no income
guy
right now.
this guy, his house is paid for, but he owes HOA fees, and so
Yeah,
he's gonna lose his house over like $8,000, and they're just gonna resell it to somebody else, all because he been out of work, or he's not getting paid because of the government shutdown. So this people's lives are really being affected, y'all. It's bigger than not being able to get food. It's bigger than just losing income. If y'all don't understand what your income is for, which is pretty much your livelihood, then
right.
this is nothing to take lightly. And it's something that if you wasn't prepared this time, you should definitely be prepared for when it
Next
happens again.
time,
I ain't gonna say if, I'm gonna say when it happens again.
when,
Because it
Right.
amen.
don't have to be a government shutdown for your income to stop. I mean, I work. I'm a commissions. I fall in that category. Okay, I'm not
hmm
salaried. I know how much money to expect is coming in, but I work off commissions. If I don't write a policy all month, guess what? I'll get paid off at the back end, but I ain't gonna make no extra money. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And people are
Look,
fighting over food and they're about to lose their house. Guess what? The last thing on their mind is going to be trying to pay for some life insurance. So everything affects everybody. People can't pay for tax services if they don't know where their next meal is coming from. I
sure
mean, so
don't.
it affects everybody. So,
100%.
Amen to that. I agree. And the minute we sit here and focus just on our situation, that's when we've lost. Again, you don't have to be a recipient of certain benefits or a government employee for it to affect you. And as we're starting to see, it's going to continue to affect workers. I mean, I can't believe we're still, what is this? How many days? I don't even want to even bring up the idea of how many days it's been. We're in a situation where we have a Republican Supreme Court, we have a Republican president, Congress, Senate. That means that the judicial, the legislative, and the electoral are all the same administration, and they can't agree. Do you know how crazy that sounds? That
mm,
you have one administration and they're can't agree amongst themselves. This is not a bipartisan issue. Okay, this is literally a Republican issue, and I just shake my head. I can't believe it. I can't believe that no one is outraged at this. I can't believe that the party that is in control of the legislative, the executive, and the judicial branch is not screaming and pounding their fists someplace about the state of affairs. But again, I'm just a Democrat. I'm just sit over here and mind my business. But
Oh my
I'm
God.
just
We
saying.
just
Listen, I don't get too deep into the Democrat versus Republican. Definitely a Democrat, but at the end of the day, we've got to be so much better human beings, better
Hmm.
leaders in general, because to the extent of whether or not you're a Republican or a Democrat, they are both using benefits that the government provides. They are both working in the government who are impacted in both
Mm,
parties. So when you strip these parties away, we're missing a really key picture of I don't really think any of us have to suffer. There's going to be some suffering in life, but we should be much better at helping each other. And granted,
amen.
you can only control yourself, but as the leader of your household, as the leader or head of your business, it's our job to try to prepare. That doesn't mean you're gonna have all the answers, but to Sandra's point earlier, you got to have the right team in place. Um, and sometimes it's not saying I've got all the answers. It's saying, hey, I know I need some help, but I'm not really sure where to start. Can you help me out? If you get somebody
Amen.
like me, I can vouch for anybody else on, my co-host on this podcast. I can't speak for anywhere else you go. If we're not the right person, we're going to tell you I'm not the right person, but I'm
right.
gonna
That's it.
get you to somebody that
That's
can
what
help you
Amen.
out, or I'm gonna get you a better team of people that will not only help you get the answer, help me help the next person get the answer quicker, faster, whatever that looks like. But it's our
Hmm.
job as leaders in our respective areas, our respective circles, whether that's your friend circle, your family, your business, your
Hmm.
whatever that looks like. You've got to prepare your house. If you're a clergy, we already understand the weight and the magnitude of what's put on you as a member of society. You're held to this higher esteem, so you got to get your house in order, not just pray through it. The Bible says faith without works is dead. Like you can have all the faith in the world, but you have got to strategize the what ifs. To your point, the SWOT analysis will help you do that, and that's
Hmm.
just like a business plan. That's not a one and done situation, because you can have one idea that's going to spawn that should be spawning out to multiple other ideas. So you absolutely need to be preparing for the what ifs. And if you're clergy, for sure, I mean, I'm always defer to our tax expert, but I would never want you to take your average of, or your, I will say, your top dollar of donations when people are not suffering, when we're not in a government shutdown, and say, oh yeah, I'm gonna bank on getting that much next time this year or even the next month. You're setting yourself up for failure.
Amen. That's it. Look, because there's no guarantee anywhere, right? I mean, let's keep it real here. Don't nobody
right.
have a guaranteed paycheck. Nobody.
Nobody.
No,
that's
no,
that's what I'm like. There is definitely, and to depend on it to come from somebody else is just crazy. But hey, to each his own.
Again,
But
I say the same thing every time. I'm like, y'all depending on who to pay y'all, but that's how we were raised. I tell people all the time. My parents would never, if my parents knew, my parents would never have allowed me to be full-time entrepreneur. They thought that was the worst thing you could do. They thought that was being a hustler, right?
mhm,
So, they believed in getting a job, working, getting a pension. That was a good thing. That was a solid thing.
right,
So I don't blame them for that, but again, it's based upon, like she was saying, it's based upon, kind of what your experience is. What are your plans? What do you have set up and prepared? But again, being an entrepreneur in this is just as scary as working for a job.
it is.
Honestly,
it
It
I
is.
is.
don't know who's better off right now. Everything's scary. Economy is crazy. So
I
Yeah,
we
think that
just have.
just goes to my point. We have to help each other. The world was not
Mhm.
meant for us to be in a place where, oh, I can sustain over here all by myself. You can have a
Mhm.
business idea, but if you don't get the buy-in of your target audience, it, you have nothing more than an idea. We need each other. The concept just blows my mind that we have so many people fighting against each other when it could all work a lot more seamlessly. Not saying I've got all
Mhm.
the answers, but I definitely know the level of divide we have in so many different areas of life is just uncalled for. It's really uncalled for.
Yeah. And speaking of that, before we get off, I do want to share. Y'all probably saw the things flashing up on the
Yeah.
screen. I
Yeah.
want to share some things that the community is doing here, to help people out for the holiday season or just in general when it comes down to food and clothes, stuff that we need. But like I said, we definitely didn't want to present all these problems or remind you of all the problems that people are facing without giving you some real solutions that you can implement to take the strain off or at least prepare better for the next time. And one thing you probably heard without using the term is multiple streams of income. We are big
Mhm.
on having a backup plan for the backup plan. Okay, it's good to have your main source, but you should always have a backup. I know how to do hair. So look, if I ain't too busy doing policies, I will book you in a minute. Look, I'm open this week. I will sell clothes out my closet. I mean, I'm determined to make money every day because you can. You really
Yep.
can. If you
Yep.
don't know how, holler at one of us. I'm sure we could put you on to something. So
Amen.
Yeah. That's
definitely
a
dreams.
systems thing. It's a lot of people that I've got an idea, and I've been there, so I'm not saying been there, and in a lot of cases I'm still there because I got tons of ideas, but it's the you can have an idea, but you've really got to take yourself outside of the creator or the visionary, and you've got to, if you're not going to pay to somebody else to wear the hat that they were called to wear, you got to go out here and learn something else. You got to learn probably enough to be dangerous, but enough to be successful to create a system that'll work for you from
Mhm.
the jump. This is why I have personally taken a step back from some of my own ventures until I get those things in place that I know I have to have. And to Sandra's point earlier, I want to be able to hand my stuff off to somebody, but not hand it off and say, "Hey, fix this," and then I don't know anything about it. Absolutely not. That's never gonna be me. I'm not
Right.
knocking it if it is somebody else, but that's just not gonna be me. And to your benefit, like I can't even think of the name of the Tyler Perry movie, but you don't want that to be you. You want to know what's going on with, the finances of the household that, you're reliant upon.
Mhm. Mhm.
You want to be able to pick up and take care of things. If it's not just about if your spouse or your congregation leaves, it what do you do if
They can't give.
they just can't get there, if they can't do it, and then they need help as well? How do you show up? I love when you said earlier, like, the church is a business. Like, they got to remember they're a business, but
Business.
they
Yep.
got into that business because they had a caring and nurturing heart, to do Christ's work,
Mhm.
and to give God the glory. So by all means, what else are you planning to do?
Right. So we got a comment from a viewer. Well, question looks like, says, due to the decrease in value of the dollar, a stressed housing market, and negative projected market outlook, some economists are projecting an economic collapse in the near future. Advice.
Well, I mean, honestly, the economy collapsing it's one of the doomsday preppers, like one of the scenarios that some people have always planned for. Some people have, gotten gold together and silver together, right? They have other forms of what they will uh maybe consider currency. If the dollar bill is no longer valued, some people believe that it'll be assets, digital assets like Bitcoin. That's why there's some people that are, mining Bitcoin and doing things like holding on to precious metals. There's not, unfortunately, the reason why I'm stammering is because there's not going to be one answer
Right.
until we know what it is that we will accept. Because the one thing that we need to learn about currency, it's only as valuable to the person that's willing to trade for it. It
Mm,
has value if you say it has value. So if I give you a piece of paper that has green letters and numbers on it, and you see that as valuable, and you give me something in return for it, then we've created a quid pro quo that this piece of paper has value and is worth whatever I give you for it. But
Right.
if you give that piece of paper and then it's got green and white letters on it and numbers, and there's no value to it, you can have as much of that paper a stack this high,
They gonna mean
and
shit.
it doesn't mean nothing.
Nothing.
Okay.
Right.
And so again, it's only valuable if I say or you believe it has value. We have to agree on the value. That's why bartering will always
Yeah.
one up
Hmm.
cash and other valuables. A diamond is only valuable if you actually want the diamond. But if
Mhm.
I don't want a diamond and I don't see any values in diamonds, you giving me a diamond means absolutely nothing for me.
Right.
Okay. So
Right.
in this economy, it has to be something that you value. I
Hmm.
value actual services. I value actual products. So to me, I want relationships with people who, if this economy crashes, what can I do that's going to bring value to somebody else, and what can I get a value from them that I can actually use? It
Right.
probably won't be doing tax preparation. Okay, let's keep it real. The government go down, ain't nobody gonna be worried about paying no damn taxes. I'm not gonna be
Sure.
worried about doing your damn taxes. I'm gonna keep it real, okay? Because who the hell, right? I'm gonna be like, okay, I can make a pound cake. I can walk some dogs. I got a backyard. Do you need to bring the dogs over here? I got some furniture I can sell. Let me go look in this closet and see what people want. It's gonna be of things of value. So I'm always, aware and pivoting towards what can I do of value. Don't ever be so stuck in one thing that when you see change coming that you can't be ready to move on out the way and pivot. Because
Right.
Yeah.
I tell my son all the time, let things get shook, I'm shaking. Okay. Like everything in this house can go. Every TV, every piece of tech, every whatever. If someone says you got to get out there, dig a hole, and learn how to plant some pumpkins, that's what I'm doing.
Right.
Okay. Look, where can I get pumpkin seeds from? Where do I get the dirt from? Where do I get the grass from? How long I got to wait for this stuff? People need to be ready to move when stuff gets ready to move you. You need to be prepared for things always.
Yeah.
Something could happen right now. We could have a storm, a flood, a fire that could devastate our own personal spaces. But are you prepared if that devastation comes through? Do you have a something prepared in case of an emergency? Like I have a generator. I have, food that's stored that is, I have, I don't want to say survival food because I don't call it survival food, but I have oil for oil lamps. I have, things for heaters. I have, solar batteries. I have, stuff that can burn and we can make a fire if I had to heat food up. I have cast iron pots and pans to cook in case we have to do it over open flame and not, all these little, cute little, I call them pink Barbie pots and pans that you can only cook on electric stove with. Some people, I I have this thing, and my son hates it when I say this, so I'm going to say it and be quiet. I say there's some generations going to die in the apocalypse, and the reason why they're going to die in the apocalypse because they can't make a piece of bread without the internet. Okay, they can't plant anything without the internet. They don't know how to cook, clean, repair. They couldn't fix anything unless someone sat there on YouTube and showed them how to do it. So there are a certain number of us who have no other skills but what we learned in school, right? Our blinders are on. If there's not a
Hmm.
button or a keyboard to push, they're not going to function very well. And
Right.
thank God that's not me because we good. I got
We good.
gallons of gasoline in the shed out there. We got generate we lights, solar lights,
Yeah.
canned goods. We got beans, we got water,
One
all
thing we
these
know how to
things.
survive. We know how to
Look, I'm
survive.
exactly okay. Look, I'll be. Back in the day, the Cowboys used to eat beans out the cans all the time.
Mhm.
We'll be a bean eating somebody. Okay, it's plant
Long as
based.
it's
It's healthy.
long as
I'll be a
bushes are
Yeah.
vegetarian.
but
You just don't know.
yeah, and the
Okay.
crazy thing is money what good will your money be if the resources are limited? You know,
Yeah.
like you said, the barter and trade system is something that we definitely really need to be considering going back to, because your money ain't gonna be no good if there's none in the store to buy.
There
You
you
Right.
know,
go.
so this is really, it should be a an eye opener to a lot of things. And if it's not,
Hmm.
shame on you, because somebody should be talking some sense to you by now.
Yeah.
Amen.
But I mean, to the point of the question, like you can't control the timing of income, and like Didi was saying, I've heard, like, I'm about to be 45. I've been hearing about, stressed housing markets and decreasing value of the dollar for years. So it's kind of
Mhm.
like you never really know. So you really just have to figure out how am I going to stabilize when it's unpredictable. You
Right.
can't control the timing of your income, but you can control how you manage your income. That's probably one of your biggest defenses to all of this. Create
Yes.
an income rhythm where you, instead of like, I know we talked about like the clergy piece of it. Like, yeah, every time somebody pays their tithes, it may be a miracle to the church. It may be a miracle to that person that they had the tithes to be able to pay it.
Mm,
But what are you doing with that tithes that's coming in? Are you, just like any other business, are you setting up a portion like 10%, 40%, whatever it may be? Are you
Mhm.
connecting with that team that tax expert that's gonna say, hey, based on what you're trying to do or what you've already done or a combination of both, you need to set aside this much for taxes, this much for saving, this much for whatever other contingencies affect your business based on that SWOT analysis that was done. You need to be able to say, okay, if this doesn't happen, if my biggest contributor to the church building fund goes into the hospital and can't do it anymore, what am I going to do to pay the light bill? Who
Mhm.
can I lean on to help? Can I pool with another church? A lot of churches do the conference. Can I pool with another church and save some money on those light bills? It's not, attendance is lower as it is now with a lot of churches because of just human beings running amok for the most part, and forgetting what it's like to not be saved. I'll say it that way.
Mhm.
But pushing people further away from the church, you need to be working on better strategies to bring more people in, not just the youth, but people in general into the church. You need to be working on those strategies to bring more people into your business where there is a win-win benefit to you and them. I know there are churches out there and a lot of them are in different states, but I would love to be a part of a church that they center their church around biblical based business planning,
mm.
because God doesn't say you can't have you can't mix ministry with the marketplace. He literally told that woman, use the oil in your house. Like, what you mean?
Right.
No,
Right.
absolutely
We doing too
not.
much. We doing too much.
Right. Like I
We
Yeah.
mentioned
we doing too
before,
much.
operate off of averages. Don't operate off of emotions like, oh, it's that time of year, it's the holiday, and everybody's gonna, magically, like they used to back in the day, give a lot of money towards the church. They don't have it, and people are choosing self-preservation over, waiting on that return of a blessing from God to say, hey, I'm gonna give the money to the church, and I know God got me covered. People ain't doing that
Right.
like they used to back in the day.
No, they are
So
not.
you got to have some better systems and operate not off of the emotions or playing on the emotions of other people or your own. You got to have a real operating strategy, and you need to be using technology. Like, if you're afraid of technology, you're the person that needs to sit out here and either get connected with somebody like me, even Sandra, even Didi, because while we all have our respective businesses we work on, we're tech savvy people, and again, if we
Mhm.
don't know, we can help you, but you need to be leveraging technology to automate and automate discipline in your life and in your business. Not just your
Amen.
your business, but your life. Trust me, I'm literally on a slow road to re-automate a lot of stuff for myself, decrease my stress, because this is stressful looking up every day at what's happening in the government on top of what's happening in my personal life, my personal job. I work a
Right.
full-time job and trying to figure out life with all these business ideas that I know God is sending them to me, but I'm just trying to be obedient and get the resources in order. But
Look, tell them to slow down a little bit. Look, give somebody else a chance, okay? Shoot, let somebody else have
It's
let
that
somebody else have a chance,
right,
okay?
like, and you need to have a fun, like, and I've done better at this in the past than what I'm doing right now, but like you've got to have that fun, excuse me, that says, hey, this may happen and I may need to pull from this money. Even if it's not
Hmm.
like I would prefer it not be a credit card, but if that's what it has to be, let that be, but
Amen.
understand what it's there for. You
right.
know, if you got a high limit, okay, cool. Take a percentage, knock out your Christmas shopping. I'm just talking because that's what I just did. But the rest of it, don't touch it. You know, don't touch it. You got 401k money built up. You need to understand the rules and the tax implications with your tax expert of if I need to pull this out, what happens? It could be costing you more money to pull that money out.
Right.
So
Right.
you need to be careful, but you still need to figure out where is that reserve going to come from. Like you mentioned earlier with people, pull their resources together to
Hmm.
get gold
Hmm.
and silver. You need to be doing the same thing with property. This is really a lot of nothing new information. It's just connecting with the right people who understand the legacy that you're trying to live and leave so that you can
Amen.
start executing one by one. 44 years of life. I done screwed up a lot of stuff. I am not gonna fix
Okay.
it all with one weekend session of, empowerment and ministry and and anything else that I choose to do. It's not
And
gonna
there's
work,
nothing, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's the part that people need to realize. It took
right?
you years to get into that mess. It's going to take you years to get out of it. But
Right.
you
Yeah.
have to, just like you started getting yourself there, you got to start getting yourself out. So if you don't do nothing else, pick one thing in your personal or your business life that you know is just a mess, and just work on fixing it. If it's one bill, if it's one account, if it's one aspect of your business that you just know that it's just not operating correctly, fix that one thing. And then see how you feel if you've accomplished that. Because to me, that's really what it's about. We're talking about, the economy and all these different rules and things, but it all comes down to we didn't plan properly. It comes down to planning. Did you plan for the future? Life
Right.
insurance. Did you plan for your life ending? Did you plan for what was going to happen to your house, your household, to somebody else's future that you're taking care of if you were not here? Well, if the government was not here, what did you plan on doing that was going to help you? I know it's hard to find a way out when you're already struggling, but guess what? A lot of times the reason why we're struggling is because of the decision that we made, and we're not taking accountability for that when that happens. So
Hmm.
once you've taken accountability, you realize I messed this up. That means I got to fix this. That means that the next time
Exactly.
this happens, I'm not in the same situation. That's up to you to decide whether or not you're going to fix that or not. That's not for anybody else. And so I think some of what we're hearing about people being upset about food stamps and who's getting food stamps, it's because they feel like it's the same people that's been on food stamps like the last 50 years. Okay.
And it's so not.
And that's so not the case. Okay, the people that was on food stamps 50 years ago are not on food stamps right now. I'm telling you. Okay, and if they were, mind your business. All right. I don't know what to tell you. Okay.
Right.
At the end of the day, the shutdowns, like, yes, they absolutely create problems, but more
Yes.
more so, they expose the problems that were there because it could be something other than the quote government shutdown that stops your food stamps.
Right.
Right.
It could
Yeah.
it could be
Could have.
something else.
Yep. It could be
I mean, I
Sure
anything.
literally
could.
remember the article maybe a month or two ago. Young lady, I don't know her name, don't know what state she was in, but she literally was facing up to 10 years in prison because she was using food stamps to
Hmm.
purchase the food that she
That
was
she was
using for her
selling.
business that
Yeah.
Yeah.
she was
Yeah.
selling this food. Like, what?
Yeah.
You think you
Yeah.
think she planned for that? More than likely not.
Right.
No, she did not. But and this is where the hard part of it is where she messed up as is because when she earned the income that she got from preparing that food, she never reported it. That's really what a fraud part of that is. It's not a fraud that she used it for her business. It's the fraud part became where she earned the income, didn't report the income to the state so they could determine if she was still eligible for the food stamps that she was receiving. So again, it goes back to what was your plan to get out of the
Mhm.
situation you were in? Her plan was that I'm going to use this food stamps, I'm going to use it to make some money, and then I'm going to use that money to get myself out of the situation. The fraud came in is because she didn't use the money to get herself out of the situation. She kept using that food stamp money as a way to be her inventory and her supplier. And that's where she messed up. That's where the fraud is. Not because she was
Mhm.
trying to get herself out of a situation. It's because no, any income that you earn, you have to report. And if you're receiving assistance of any type, you know there's a reporting requirement. You know there's a reporting requirement if you got ACA. You know there's a reporting requirement if you got SNAP. You know there's a reporting requirement if you have TANF. You know there's a reporting requirement if you have SSI.
Right.
So the minute you decide to, oh, well, I can dip here and I'm a dip here, and you don't plan to be exposed, to me, you're causing your own economic collapse.
Yeah.
Because right now you can't play with the governments anymore. I don't know if y'all realize it, but because of Real ID, the states can see what the federal can see, and the federal can see what the state can see because they talk to each other now. The whole purpose of Real ID was to put the states and the federal together so they could have the same information on file. So when you walk into that DMV office and you tell these people, my name is Didi Boutte and I live at 123 Main Street in Otahi, North Carolina, it matches what's showing up on SSI, tax,
Everything.
Homeland Security, and everything else. But no, you playing state games with the IRS and IRS games with the state, and you don't think they know about each other. Yeah, let me know how that works out for you. Okay.
Right. They don't
You keep
wives.
yes. Uh-huh. Right. Them HUD Section 8 certificates, that's federal. Okay. And they gave them to the state to hand out, right? And
Mhm.
now you are getting that subsidy, but you didn't tell them that you were getting income over here with this 1099 that you got bouncing in your inbox. Yeah. There's gonna be a lot more people that are gonna get hit with fraud, is pretty much what I'm alluding to.
Yeah.
If you are somebody who's been playing with the people with the letters in the back of their jackets, don't go ahead, make other plans, please, before you get caught out.
And that's the
I'm just
IRS,
warning you
the
now.
Yes.
no, I didn't say all them
Okay?
letters,
The
the FBO,
ATF. Let me see you.
ATF. Listen,
All the back.
Okay.
If it's an
Tobacco, what is it? Arms, tobacco, and
yeah,
firearms.
yeah.
Yeah, okay. There's a reason why the T is with the F. Okay, I don't know why, but I'm just trying to tell you, they together.
mm,
So y'all cannabis people, you watch yourself. Okay, there's so many things that people just did not pay attention to when Trump went into office and all the changes that he made. And there he wanted less oversight. And how do you get rid of oversight? You make everybody talk to each other. Once
mm,
they realize what you're doing over here and what you're doing over here, oh no, we're not giving them that no more. And have you noticed that's exactly what's happening? They're like,
right.
oh no, we're not giving no more state aid to Medicaid. We're not
Right.
expanding Medicaid anymore. You on your own. If you were doing it, if you were offering these people medical and you were using our federal dollars to do it, oh, you on your own now. You figure out how you're gonna pay for that all that medical you giving away to all these people that are here or there or everywhere. So that's what people don't realize is that a lot of things that were separate are not separate anymore. Even if they're not together, they can see each other and they can communicate. And y'all just need to yeah do better. That's all I
Clean
gotta say. Just
clean
do
Book a
it
better.
up.
consultation.
Clean it up.
Book a conversation.
Book a consultation.
Yeah. So during the conversation, y'all touched on a lot of things that, as far as solutions to prepare And it's never too late to start, y'all. Don't think, okay, y'all made it through this, y'all good, because something else could happen. Something else will
Mhm.
happen. So I heard operating on average. That I like that because doing your budget, they call it like a variable income budget, where a lot of us we budget off of what we expect to make or what our biggest amount is when we should be budgeting off of our the
The
lowest amount.
lowest amount.
So if you budget off of your lowest amount, then you may have some extra to put away to your savings, which is another
Yeah.
way to prevent or prepare for times like this. You should have an emergency fund where you have enough money in there to cover your expenses from at least 6 to 9 months. Even if you can't
Yep.
do it that long, start some freaking where because I mean having
Yep.
a month worth of expenses saved that buys you a month of time versus right now a lot of us are just one paycheck away from being homeless or hungry or even worse, you know?
Yep.
Um,
Mhm.
also, like Dee Dee said, plan for your taxes year round. And get a professional that can show you what your estimated taxes might be. They can help you with putting it aside throughout the year so you're not hit so hard at the end of the year.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
We already talked about multiple income streams. Also using insurance as a safety net. A lot of
Mhm.
people, my clients now just had their insurance for a few years. They're calling me, hey, do I got money available? And you sure do. You want to get it? That's tax free money they can use while they're out of work. There are so many different things that you can use, but I think our problem is we live in the now a little too hard and we don't discipline ourselves to plan for the future even when we know things are not going to be right. Our mindset is, oh, we'll deal with it when it get here, and we've been
Mhm.
doing that, but you cannot sustain too much longer just winging it. You have to
Yeah.
start
Sure
planning and
can.
preparing. No way around it.
Yeah.
um Anything else that y'all want to add about preparing or anything like that before I share some of these community events that people can help donate to or may can use as a resource?
I would just say a lot of people think like I need to get paid more money, and by all means, getting paid more money is the goal, but it still comes back to the level of preparation. Like peace doesn't come from getting paid more, and I can personally attest to that. Hitting six figures, like yeah, you make more, great, but it
You
comes
owe
from
more.
knowing that I can breathe when I if I don't get paid at all. That's when I can breathe
Mm,
better. When I know if I don't get paid for 1 month, do I still have the ability to pay my rent? If I have to move out, of a place, do I have somewhere else to go to lay my head that's comfortable at least, or am I going to a shelter? So the planning is key and planning early versus later. And my friends call me the overthinker sometimes, but it comes in handy when I told you that could happen and here we are, it's happening. Like I'm not a I told you so person, but I'm definitely gonna tell you in the moment, like, hey, I know it seems far fetched, but just in case this happens, you might want to plan, put a little extra money aside for this. I don't care if we're talking, I'm booking your vacation, I'm telling you, put some extra money aside. I don't care if we're talking about your career. I'm telling you, if your company's matching that 401k, hey, it's not the greatest tool, but by all means, take that money. Like what?
that's right.
Mm-hmm. Amen. Amen. Look, I'm so glad that you talked about company match and all that other stuff. But yeah, people just need to do better. We need to pull our resources together. My son, I have a son who's single, not married. I have one who's married and is a homeowner. And I'm just very glad that in my family we believed in keeping our knit our niches, our circle together.
Hmm.
Whenever there was a change in the life status, our unit as a family would always kind of come together and support one another. Um, we did that in us all moving here to North Carolina. Even when we were in Connecticut, if there was something that happened, our core unit knew who we could depend upon. And that's one of the reasons why, he's also here with me. Not only did he come to help take care of my parents, but doesn't it make more sense if you're not married, you have no kids? Why would you go out there and spend $1,000 a month, $1,500 a month on rent, all the utilities. All you're going to do is go to work for 40, 50 hours a week to come home, drop your clothes off, sleep for 8 hours, and get up and leave again. Why are you not, as a community or as a family unit, working to figure out how you can reduce your expenses so you can save? I'm so glad. I'm not even going to say the amount, but when I tell you the high five figures that he has saved in his bank account, chef's kiss. All I can tell you is, y'all girls, y'all out there flossing with the guys with the fancy cars, and they playing loud music, they wearing the new religion clothes on, and they ain't got no money in the bank. And you know what? He's wearing Levi's and Air Force Ones, and he got bank. Okay, so y'all keep playing out there in them streets with the wrong ones. So y'all don't even know what
I take a
priorities are right
regular,
now.
I take a
Yeah,
Look,
regular
look,
guy
okay.
over a flashy.
that part. Be
Let me,
clean and smell good with a good haircut or a fresh twist if you got dreads. By all means,
And
keep
no
it
okay.
together.
tartar in your teeth. Y'all get that stuff between y'all teeth.
You
Good
know
God,
what?
I
See,
can't stand it.
look, I hate y'all, but look, let me tell you something. Y'all so funny. She said, "Look, as long as he got that and some other things over here, okay. Look, you better take that boy out there and show him how to get right. Because let me tell you something. By the time
Y'all
y'all look
show
for all these,
take
for all these things, don't they gonna be on to the next one? And I say that because that's actually pretty much how it happened with my oldest one. He was out there trying to
Wait a minute.
date, and everybody was, oh, you not spending enough money on me, you not treat me like this. He's like, I'm a college student, okay?
What?
I'm like,
I wish,
I'm
girl, I wish somebody would come at my son like that. Let me tell you
okay,
something.
but you know
Don't do
what ended
that.
up. Look, let me tell you what ended up happening. He took his time. He waited till he graduated school. He met somebody really, really nice. They are two peas in a pod. They married, got my grandbaby, on to the next one. I'm so sorry, young ladies, whoever y'all was out there talking about his car wasn't fancy enough and he didn't spend enough money on y'all. That's your problem now. That's why you with old dude who you with, because the one who actually is a homeowner has a 800 plus score, makes over six figures, is sitting there,
Right,
and
but you
that's
can have a man with the most money treat you like crap. That money
and
don't
it,
mean nothing. The size of
and
that
it
ring
don't,
don't mean nothing. So
it don't.
let me let
So
me let me see your flyer, Sandra, because I know we getting close
yeah,
to the clock, and I'm hoping everybody got some value from it. But there's definitely some ways that you can, if you're listening to the replay, use that information to, if nothing else, let it spark some questions in your brain of what do I need to do for me. If you can't use anything
amen,
that we've mentioned particularly, you still need to be asking yourself the question, what if? What if something happens in my business? How am I gonna get through it? And then I think some of the stuff you're about to share, how can you help somebody else?
yeah,
Right.
yeah,
Yeah. So that's what I wanted to share. Y'all, although this information is for everybody, the group does focus on North Carolina. So this is going to be some things that's going on locally in the Pitt
mm-hmm,
County area. And one thing I wanted to share was the Badu Lounge on behalf of Lester Howard. He's on Facebook and Instagram. He's having a Thanksgiving Day where if you don't have food or if you don't have people to eat with, you are welcome to come. He's opening up the doors from 10 to 2 on Thanksgiving. He also needs people to donate. I'm doing my part. If you can't donate, if you want to come and help serve, but you can either come and eat there or you can come and take a plate to go. That's something that you can follow and donate, or if you know somebody that needs the resource, share it and pass it along. This weekend, there's the fourth annual coat, hat, and clothing drive. So y'all that got not old raggedy clothes, okay, but you got stuff that's been sitting there that you ain't worn for in a while, that you might got to shake off, but it's still in good condition. Don't bring no raggedy shit, y'all. Y'all don't want to pick up raggedy stuff. But
there
if
you
you have
go.
stuff, bring it out and donate. This is a great cause. They'll be at 1710 Chestnut Street, Greenville, North Carolina, this Saturday from 10 to 12. Come and show up. Don't come with your hand out unless you really need something, but bring
Right,
something. Maybe you got an old coat and you can come and get a new pair of pants. Think
right.
small, but think outside the box. But that's just some things that's going on here in Greenville, North Carolina, um, to help with the community. So y'all share that. Do as you wish with the information.
That's
Yeah. If
good.
y'all
That's
got
real
something
good.
going on,
I'm
let
glad
us
you
know
brought
too.
that up.
And any other resources, like that's what I want us to start doing too, like at the end or during, let's, if y'all know some resources that can help people, because times are
Hmm.
hard. Times are
Yeah.
hard. Everybody ain't struggling, but enough people really are. And if we can't help everybody out of our own pockets, we can at least, help with resources. So reach
Amen.
out if you're watching this live later and you got questions about something that you heard us talk about. You can still ask. We do pay attention to the social media, so
Right.
don't be afraid. And of course, you can always reach out directly. So yeah, this was good. I learned a lot. Y'all funny.
Look,
Y'all are
look,
funny.
we funny, but we keeping it real.
We keep it hot. We do. That's
Shoot.
what I love about it.
Listen.
Yeah.
Okay, we keeping it real. We can key with the best of them, but we ain't told no lies either.
All right, we're gonna bring you some
So
real information.
right, you gonna
Yeah.
learn
Yeah.
today.
So
Okay.
yes, but I
Yeah.
appreciate y'all, ladies, and I appreciate y'all for watching. If y'all have not already, hit that subscribe button. That way you can stay locked into our monthly podcast. I got
Yeah. If
anything
you got any
to say?
topics, y'all just let us know. Throw them in the chat, send an email. Um, Listen, stay in touch, get in touch. We're still always open to guests. So by all means, I hope there's some value here. And if not, you gotta let us know because I know if you got better things to do, we got better things to do. But we
Amen.
make sure we're
Right.
connecting where you need help the most. And it doesn't matter if it's a topic that I'm not versed in or any of the other ladies aren't versed in. We will figure it out. We will find
Yep.
somebody
We'll find
who is
somebody.
the expert, if we can't help you, by all means. But I wish everybody a happy holiday since we won't see you until next month.
Yep.
Enjoy your family and start having those. If you haven't already started, Thanksgiving is a really good time to start bringing up the conversation or start having your family meetings. This is a
Yeah.
really good time to do that. So that's all for me.
All right. Well, see y'all next month. Y'all stay
Peace
safe and
and
be safe. It's getting
blessings.
cold
Happy
outside.
Thanksgiving.
Happy
Yeah,
Thanksgiving.
all that
All
stuff.
right, bye, ladies.
Bye bye.
Good night. Good night. Good night.
End the live.